So, ladies, thank you so much for deciding to be interviewed for Knowledgeable Nurse. If you can introduce yourself to the audience and let us know where you stand in nursing, and then we can go from there.
Sure. My name is Rebecca. I am a current graduate with my LPN degree or license, as you may say. I am currently pursuing still my RN I'll be returning back to school to pursue that. And at the moment, I am looking for employment as an LPN.
Okay, great.
And I'm Sarenna. I am about to graduate with my BSN in Health Promotion and Wellness, and I am continuing to pursue nursing once I'm done that as well.
Okay. Do you guys want to tell us what age range you are in?
Sure. So I'm 25, just turned 25.
Woo, woo.
And I'm 22.
Okay, all right. So, what made you guys go into nursing?
So I feel like both of our reasons are the same, honestly. We
Yeah.
had lots of sick family members, so we were always in the hospital setting. So we just would see the people, the nurses working, to be like, wow, we like what they do, the drama of it all, how different it is all the time. Most times you don't get the same thing every day, so we just figured, I think at different times in our lives, but we just both came to the conclusion like this was something we wanted to do. It was help people and be around stuff like that.
Okay. So, Rebecca, when did you start nursing school?
Okay, so this has been a long journey, to say the least. My nursing school journey started in 2013. The end of the summer, the August of 2013, and that's when I first started college.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished LPN school in February of 2020.
Okay.
So it's been a long journey, a lot of things, hiccups along the way. But yeah, so I started in 2013 and completed at least the LPN portion this past year. This year.
So that's one thing we could say to our audience is that although you started and it may
Okay, but
take
I
you
feel
a
like
while to get there, you still reached your goal. Even though it took you time, you still got there and you never
Yes,
gave up. So that's something
definitely,
we say to them.
definitely.
So Sarenna, tell us about your story.
okay. So I started my nursing career, I guess, in education in 2016. In the August of 2016, after I graduated high school, I completed up to 3 years of nursing until I flunked out
Okay.
and switched over to health promotion and wellness.
All right.
And so I'm scheduled to graduate this spring 2021.
That is great. So I'm gonna ask you if you're willing, would you like to elaborate on? You said flunked out, but let's not use that term because maybe this is just not your time at this time, or maybe it wasn't the right program for you. So do you want to elaborate on that?
Okay. So the college, university, whatever, because you can't say names. So, so the university that I chose to do my nursing degree in, at first, it was simple. You did your gen eds and you did your extracurriculars for your first 2 years, like any other college student. And then after your first 2 years, that's when they put you in your core classes, as my university calls them. From then, my first semester, I did perfectly fine. It was a mix of the bad professors and work hours that I couldn't work with the, I guess, curriculum.
That's a good word, yeah.
The curriculum that they had a standard for each student, even though the university had different state values than like another school would, like their grading values. So I ended up just falling short by like a couple of points. That's how it basically happened.
Got it.
And the university wasn't very like accommodating towards like students that needed help, like in the education portion, because clinical wise I was doing great. It was more like the books and the testing that I was like not doing well. So me as the student, even though I did try to appeal the how do I word this? Not decision. Well, yes, decision from the university that their nursing program wasn't right for me. But I, in turn, had to think that I didn't collaborate well with their way of teaching and my way of learning. So I had to just decide to switch to, instead of keeping the fight going, and they weren't letting up. So then I just decided I would graduate with a different degree and then do nursing elsewhere.
So what are some tips you would give to people that are looking into going into the LPN program, or have either experienced a situation like you, Sarenna? How would you encourage other students that may be going through that situation?
Okay, so for me, what I went through in this nursing program, it really like down my confidence as a student, I would say.
I feel like we both experienced that because
Yeah.
I applied to the same school. So I went to another university and I obtained my BSN in psychology and an associate's in science and a certificate in health and business from this other university. And I was doing a dual, was that a dual?
Dual masters or dual program?
Yeah, so it was going to be a bachelor's in psychology and a bachelor's in my BSN. But somewhere along the way, I ended up completing my psychology bachelor's before my BSN, and then the waiting list for me to get into the nursing school that had an agreement with the school that I was with at the time was a 2-year waiting list, even with the pre-arranged agreement, because they only took about 80 to 100 students each term, and they only started terms during the fall semester.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a fall and spring. It was like a fall all the way till next fall. So and everything is 2 years. So it was like you had to wait for that cycle to get done before they even started a new cycle.
Okay.
So it was very like discouraging when I applied to her university, where I knew what I could get into because my grades were good, minus a small hiccup that I had when my father had passed away, because everything happens while you're in nursing school. I was fairly confident that I was going to get in, and I honestly received a letter from the school that she's in now, telling me I didn't make it, and I was denied. So of course I'm a why person. I want to know why.
Exactly.
So I called. So I was like, what's the reason? I can afford it financially. Like, I feel like my grades, I met your requirements. I already have a lot of prereqs. I just need to do the clinical portion of this section. And they basically told me, oh, well, my grades weren't good enough, according to them, and I need to pick a new career.
Oh, wow.
This wasn't, I had this in writing in an email that says, we highly suggest you pick another career.
Wow.
So it was really discouraging. We both were full paid scholarship students to both our universities.
Come on, God. Come on.
Received the highest grant,
presidential scholarship.
The presidential scholarship.
Yeah, and I did as well for the university I attended.
That is because I was a 4.0 straight A student all through middle school, high school, up until college.
Amen.
And that's why I could not understand how I was struggling so hard in a curriculum that my whole school lifetime, I've never struggled this bad. And I would go for help to the professors, and they would send me to a woman that they said is the study master of the school. But she's like abroad. Like, she'll just give you tips on how to study. But she can't like tutor you in what you need help with. As students that were, or still are, but at that moment weren't the straight A honor students that we used to be.
Right.
And then not fully making it, the school not being helpful, I had decided, the same way she had decided, to go a different route. We're getting deterred, but we're still gonna meet the end goal eventually.
It was definitely, I would say, for both of us, because I think we both struggled with this in our own way, but also speaking with each other it was a real confidence downer. It really made us feel like, okay, we're not good enough. Especially in a time that I feel like when we both got these decisions, again, it was a vulnerable time for us. Our father had just passed away not a year before. We're still going through our grief because we had to take care of the things that went along with, our father passing away. So it was just a lot of pressure. And then, of course, we both work full-time jobs because, our home situation is not as fortunate as some other students may be. Hence why it was so important for us to go to school to make sure we get those full paid scholarships, because otherwise it'd be a really difficult time for us to be in college. And even still being in college with the scholarships, you know, we still had to eat, we still need transportation, we still had to be paid. So I feel like the program she was in, after it told both of us, like, okay, you're getting flunked now and you're not even good enough to start, it just made us feel like, well, okay, so what now? Like, or I guess we're just not good enough to do anything, because we had spent all this time and energy into investing ourselves into these degrees, and we had recommendations from teachers, our people at our clinical sites who just raved about us, how we were as nurses or future nurses, and it just wasn't enough. So it just really, I want to say, it definitely downed our confidence. So when we finally came to a realization that, okay, maybe it's not us, maybe it's just this university is just not for us, then it was like, okay, once, I want to say, and this is like to just definitely to encourage people, the day after I graduated with my my bachelor's in psychology and associates in science and my health certificate, the next day, I want to say, no, the day before I graduated, I already went to my new nursing school, which I graduated my LPN, and already was scheduled to start that following Monday. Because once I got told from her school, like, no, we didn't throw that long of a pity party. I feel like we were just like, okay, what next? Like, what to do now? Yeah.
And then I was like, put your big girl pants on
and let's get this done.
That's it. Like, keep it moving.
Yeah. So for me, when I came to the LPN program, it wasn't like that's what I wanted to do. If I'm being honest, what I wanted to do was just finish at my one university, but the waiting list was too long. And then the other nurses school I applied to also had a long waiting list and was like, and then of course the school that could have took me told me I wasn't good enough. So if I'm being honest, LPN wasn't my route, but it was the way that could get me to where I wanted to be. And so when I went to my LPN school, to get into RN school, in some cases you have to take a TEAS exam or something like that. I had a 98 proficiency at my TEAS score. When I had brought them to the LPN school, they wanted to turn me away because they told me I was overqualified to come to LPN school. The first words were, and I will never forget this, because I was the first person that they knew who came with RN credits in history already, and coming from I went to an Ivy League college. So coming from an Ivy League college to just a regular program that you see on the TV commercials just to get an LPN. And it wasn't because, like I said, it was my plan. It was because it was, one, something I could afford, and two, because everyone else was turning me down saying I wasn't good enough. So it was a point where I was just like, you know what? At this point, I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also doing it because I can't wait to get that license in the mail and maybe send her university a nice letter like, oh, yeah, hey, because here I am with my temporary license at the moment. And I was one of the top 3 students in my entire LPN class. So it's just like, I wasn't good enough, or maybe you just weren't good enough for me. Her university had to make a whole nother degree of program because of the amount of students that were failing out of the nursing program. I'm not saying that my sister is perfect, but I know her work ethic. I know what she's done in school. She was national honor. Like, I just know how she is, and it just can't be that if it was just a handful of students, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe you guys just, weren't on a piece of choose. But if 100% of students are entering a nursing program, and before the second term is even started, over 50% are failing out all at the same exact point. It's not at this point, it's not, I feel like it's the curriculum, or maybe those teaching the curriculum. Maybe some are best at leading, some are best at teaching, and some are best at doing something else. Like, I just feel like that has to get thrown in there for people who get discouraged about nursing. This is a hard degree, absolutely, but
so like for students that want to be in nursing, I definitely say choose your university wisely.
Please. It matters.
Do your research. Go on the
rate my
page
professors
and the Instagram. Find other students that went there and ask the questions. Rate my professors doesn't even cover everything. You need students that went there. I have my cousin went with me, and she didn't make it.
Yep, and they were both honor students, both presidential scholarships, both different. Began the year after me. And still, a handful of a certain demographic just didn't make the cut by literally a half a point. half
Yeah.
point.
My school didn't do curve grading, didn't do roundups, nothing. If you needed a 77.6 to pass and you got a 77.5, you failed.
But like in a university where I went to, that I'm telling you, if anybody outside of this wants to ask in the comment section, what I will tell you, they were very like, okay, you know what, we're gonna make this exception because it's right here. And then if they weren't, they would ask my professor or ask people that I was in clinicals with or something like, okay, how is this student here? And then they'll take other things. It wasn't just, oh, you didn't meet the demographic, so it is what it is. Like, they don't give up. I would say a good support system.
Definitely.
A good support system. I do personally know lots of people who went to nursing school, especially with LPN school with me, who didn't have a strong support system. And I know how their time went, and I know how my time went. And I would say that I excelled a lot easier with a good support system. Doesn't mean that they didn't make it, because everyone in my class has successfully completed the LPN program. I think we're actually the first class in my program to have all successfully completed the program. But I would say good support system, because there were days where I would just come home and tell my parents, like, I need time, or I need this, like, I just need silence because I really have to study. Can someone take care? I have pets. Can someone take care of the dogs for me so I can get this done? Or I would come home from clinicals. Clinicals, for me, I was nighttime at LPN school, part-time nighttime. So I would go to school Tuesday to Thursday, and then towards the end, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays were clinical days. So I would come home, clinicals from 11 o'clock at night by the time, or sometimes midnight by the time I go home for clinicals, and I'd be like, listen, I need help. Or again, with my sister, one thing my LPN school, I guess, assumed was that most of us knew how to do blood pressure. I never took anyone's blood pressure a day in my life. That was the step I was trying to get to when I transferred into this school. For me, she did. She was already in her clinical rotations when I started my LPN program. And my mother, who has a history in the medical field. So they taught me the day before I was testing out a blood pressure, like, oh, this is how you do a blood pressure. So I would say a really good support system, looking up your universities.
Yes, definitely. And don't get deterred by any fears of failure.
Yeah.
Learn to let go. Because that was my hardest thing, letting go.
We're so controlling. Honestly.
So controlling. It took a lot to let go of the fact that I, for the time being, didn't get the nursing degree. So letting go of that and focusing on health promotion is what I say helped me to let go. Knowing that I was going to finish this and then still do nursing is what I think a lot of students need to know, that if you don't make it at first, you can and will at some point.
Amen. Amen.
Can't stop your hustle and your grind. I would say people who are in nursing school or in those degrees, even doctors, they're in there for a reason, and they know what it takes. If you're made it to a point where you're about to graduate, or even if you made it to the clinical part of it all, like you passed the gen eds and you're in the clinical part of it all, you already know what it takes. That hustle doesn't stop. It don't stop when you get your period. It don't stop if you get in a car accident. It don't stop. Nothing stops. That school will keep moving on without you. And if you miss too much time, look, catch us next semester. Or sorry, like, so you just gotta. It's hard. It's definitely gonna be hard. You gotta breathe. Whoever you pray to, you need to pray and lean on for strength, and just try to put your best foot forward, because it's definitely hard.
I know that's right. So before I leave you guys, I wanted to ask you this question, because they're probably like, okay, nursing school, nursing school, nursing school, nursing school. What do you guys do on your free time?
Free time. Okay, so that's funny. Nursing school, I had no free time. It's so cliche to say. I feel like every time you start nursing school, or even an LPN program, medical assistant program, they tell you, you'll have no life.
You'll have no life. Or like they'll say, like, every in between you're gonna try to study. That is not true. No. Every in between you're gonna try to take a nap.
Because I was tired.
You're gonna want to take a nap. For me, I would take a book and then read, like, in between classes.
Yes.
And it's not a study book.
No.
Just a regular book, like to relax your mind.
Yep. Yeah. I just read to read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Free time, that's nothing. Take advantage of that free time whenever you get
Whether it's 10 minutes to yourself.
Take those naps.
If it's silent time, or if you're taking a nap, or you're scarfing Doritos, that's your time.
Definitely.
So take it.
Definitely. Well, your car, if you have a car, will be your best friend taking naps in there. Let me tell you.
Or the student lounge. That's where I took a nap.
Take a nap. So also, I want to tell the audience about you, lovely ladies. They being all like humble and stuff and all cute how they are, but these women have a business, and I didn't hear anything about that. But I'm going to give them some time to elaborate on their business. And if you want to know more about that, they'll probably give you all their Instagram stuff, and so you can follow them on that. But they do magnificent work. They hook my baby party up. If you want information about that, I could do a video on that just so they can get their shine, because they do magnificent work. Yes, they're in nursing school, but they're bomb. So I'll let them talk about their business. And we can go.
So we do have a mini. Yeah, we have a mini party planning business.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Mini, naughty. Okay. Right. And we will say it's mini because we do the parties, but it's not something we do all the time. But when we do them, we do them big. Yeah. So we just like have a little collective team that we come together. And at first it was just for people we knew. And then as we started doing our family members and people we care about, baby showers and birthday parties, we were getting asked by some of the party goers like, oh, do you guys have business cards? And then it got to a point, because we have so many birthdays that come back to back, that people were constantly asking us for business cards. So we were like, maybe we have something here. And so we did business cards. And I want to say, we say small business because in a year span, we probably do 2 to 3 parties a year, but they're big
major parties.
Yeah. They're large parties.
And then in between that, we'll do like cupcakes or like a cake for somebody, but it's not like a whole party. It's like little things, like so they're ordering pies for the holidays.
Yeah,
and they want a pie.
I would say a couple times a year there's those events that we're like, okay, let's get these couple events in, and then we'll put it in
like prom season.
Prom season, we're usually busy, but COVID. I was expecting to prom as last year's prom. I was pretty busy, so I had lots of girls who were going to junior last year, who were seniors this year.
Yeah, she also did my cousin's makeup for her prom. I'm just saying, like,
I
she's looking busy, honey. So yeah.
Good. On top of that, we work our full-time jobs and
are in nursing school.
In a nursing school.
Look.
That's our free time.
That's where our free time goes. And we record music on the side.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention they artists too, y'all. Listen.
We're doing music on our free time. What else? Oh, with nursing school, because we just feel like, what's the point of nursing school if you're not planning for the future? Because you have to continue with CE credits anyway at some point in your career. So we just decided, we're just going to open our own business with that. So we have discussed opening our own medical spa where, people can come and get Botox and, lip fillers. And we've got our LLC already completed, our name copy written. So that'll hopefully be coming in 2022. God willing, everything continues to go good.
Yep.
So
gotta put the health promotion degree to use.
Yeah.
Come on. Make that money work for you. Come on. So I want to thank you guys so much for letting me sit with you and interview you. Before we go, please tell the people where they can find you. I'm also going to put your information in that description box so they can look you up there, and if they want to book you for something. So just tell them about where they can find you, how they can follow you, and all that great, beautiful stuff.
Right. So for our first business that we discussed was the party planning business. It's called Res Events.
Yeah,
it'll be in the description bar because it's definitely a mouthful to say
or spell.
It's
like
spell.
You're not gonna know how to spell it.
Yeah. So. But personally, you can find us on our mutual page that we have together. It's called Exquisite Voices. It's mainly our music page, but we are going to begin posting our vlogs. We did discuss posting our daily nursing vlogs, like the things that we did throughout nursing school,
things that helped, things that
didn't help, and just with college in general, because we feel like I've been in college collectively 7 years, and she's been in college going 5 years, so we feel like there's a lot of things we can say
to help different experiences.
Yeah, so we feel like lots of things we could say, and that was at Exquisite Voices, and that's all one word. And And yeah, if you guys can always DM us, and we answer DMs all the time. Emails and all the connection to get to us are going to be in those DMs or in our descriptions. So yeah, that's where you guys can find us at.
Thank you so much, ladies. And
No
I
problem.
wish you guys nothing but the best. You guys are amazing. And I cannot wait to see what y'all do in the future. So just thank you so much. All right, you guys have a great evening. You're welcome.
Thanks for watching Mama I Made It with Nurse Na. Tune in to the next episode.